That's a fun ending there.
Every time.
I don't know. I can't not do it.
Oh my gosh.
It's just like it's there forever now. I'll never do it. I'll never get it right.
Welcome everybody to the R&R Catcast, a fan-based podcast focusing on Montana State athletics. We're two dudes named Ryan from the state of Washington talking about our dear Montana State. We hope you enjoy. All right, welcome back, Bobcat fans. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the R&R Catcast. I'm your host, Ryan Foley. He's your host, Ryan Thornburg. We are the Ryans of the R&R Catcast, the Montana State affiliate of the Big Sky Podcast Network. It is game week. Finally.
Yeah.
Woo.
Finally, get to talk some actual football. Get to feel that feeling that you have that can only come during football season, especially the first week of football season. I'm excited. I'm stoked. Game week.
I already got nervous this week. It's
Monday.
I know, man. It's awesome. Today was my first day back teaching. Kids are not there, but I'm just going through a whole bunch of teacher meetings. Pretty boring stuff. So doing a lot of thinking about Montana State.
All right.
All right. Okay. Well, thanks, fans, for joining us whenever you're listening to this. Ryan and I are just two fans, two alums, two dads talk about Montana State. We've made this a passion project for going on our sixth season, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah. About 5 actual years, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us. We always appreciate all the feedback, and then just the fan interaction we get with you guys is really bucket filling for both of us. All right. Let's start this thing off. We're going to start the year off. Gold Rush against Utah Tech. This episode, we had a chance to interview Devin Dixon. He's over there in St. George, Utah. He's the voice of the Fan Sports Network, the morning drive from 7 to 9 a.m., the voice of the Trail Blazers.
You did the same thing I did.
Hard word to say. Yeah, that's a hard word to say.
I did the exact same thing when introducing him in the segment. You'll hear it. That's funny.
I think it was a slip there because I knew you did it as well. Anyways,
Conception you.
He was fun talking, and he gave us a wealth of information about the Trailblazers coming to Bozeman on Saturday for Gold Rush. So we'll get to listen to that. Thorny's got permission to play a little vegan excerpt from the press conference today about the DUI situation, and we'll riff on that a little bit. And then I don't know where our conversation is going to go. We could talk about the Two Deep tonight. We have a couple Golden Coolie questions, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I figure we'll kind of talk about what we kind of expect to see at Utah Tech. I'm not sure how much we want to break down actual matchups or anything, because I think Devin Dixon did a really good job of talking about personnel and maybe what kind of offense Utah Tech's going to run, what you're going to see on the field. So he was a wealth of information, so that was a really good segment. That'll make it a little bit easier for us to talk about just kind of the, what we're expecting to see from the Bobcat side of things. So I think that maybe is where we go with that.
Sounds good. Let's start off with what's in our Golden Coolies.
What's in your Golden Coolie?
What's in your Golden Coolie is brought to you by Wilbur Ellis. They are the place to go for your fertilizer farming needs in the Golden Triangle. Reach out to Shay Richter. He will help you out. Foley, I am drinking, very apropos, Miner's Gold from Lewis and Clark. I got the gold. You know why I got the gold. I don't even need to explain why I'm drinking this beer. It's one of my favorites. When I go back to Montana, I always grab myself, a 12-pack of it or 6-pack or whatever. There you go.
Nice, man. I saw that on the shelves. I was in Great Falls last week, and I actually did not bring home any Montana beer. I don't know why. It didn't even occur to me, to be honest. Bought a 6-pack of Prickly Pear Pale Ale to take to a friend's house one night as we were sitting on the porch. But same brewery.
I almost got
it there, right?
Yeah, I almost got some of that, and I did not, and I kind of regret it because that's also a very good beer.
Yeah, it really is. In my golden coolie, I have what you brought me. I talked about last week, the Bozone Amber.
Still one of my all-time favorite ambers. Like I've tried a lot of ambers.
Yeah, solid, man. It's
Solid.
super good. Super good. Better on the tap, though. Better
It
on
is.
tap.
They're kind of the OG brewery in Bozeman. There was a couple other ones back when we were in college, but microbrewing wasn't like the thing it is now.
No,
like it was just in its infancy. There was a couple, but it exploded like in the late 2000s or something. But that was kind of like after we kind of missed all that. We missed that in our youth.
When we would go to like a bar or something in college, it was like maybe Moose Drool, Fat Tire. I think that was it, maybe, to be honest.
To be fair, when I was in college, I wasn't looking for a nicer microbrew, even if one was available. What's the cheapest beer you have on tap, sir? Pabst? Thank you. I will take some Pabst.
It was like Busch Light or Key Light back in Bozeman, right?
Key Light, Natty Light. Oh, Stroh's. Yes, I drank some Stroh's. Old Milwaukee. Just the long list of terrible beers. Okay. And more specifically, whatever the $3.75 pitcher was, rotating pitcher at the Molly.
Oh, the Molly. Yeah, there you go.
Such a good deal. Such a good deal. Okay. Let's move on from our discussion about beer.
Okay. Well, I guess what we normally do is we kind of talk about the press conference, right?
Yeah.
We go into our stats and whatnot. There's no stats. There's no rankings quite yet.
Yeah, all the rankings we've already talked about, they're all the same. So
yeah,
the polls don't matter at this point.
Well, did you watch the presser? That's the first question.
I got about the first half of it done, and then I just didn't have time to do the whole thing today. Had a busy day.
Classic you.
It is.
You always do like the first third of it, and then you're like, "So did you finish it?"
To my defense, and I love you, Brent Vegan, but his press conferences aren't exactly riveting.
He's always wearing such a dapper suit. I wonder why. Because every day, he comes on and he has his quarter zip Under Armour, but then he wears that tie. He looks so professional when he gets up there.
Got the old school, got to wear the suit everywhere thing going.
All right. I mean, he didn't say anything revelatory to Bobcat fans that you already don't know. A couple things that stood out to me. Our past games can be improved. I don't know if you heard about that, Thorny. I say that tongue in cheek because obviously it's a huge storyline going into the season. He talked about the game one kind of weirdness, like how it kind of feels like a feeling out kind of game. Like last year, he said we were prepared for one of the quarterbacks from McNeese State, and then they actually didn't play much, and so it was kind of a give and take. And mainly says we got to stay true to ourselves, but it's going to be a give and take with Utah Tech, and we're going to have a feeling out kind of period. He kind of harped on that a little bit, and then he said one of the things I kind of took that gave me just a little bit of hope. He says we hope to look differently in the back end. He hasn't shied away talking about the deficits Montana State had last year on defense, and that's been something he's addressed multiple times through fall camp.
You in the back end, like the secondary?
Yeah, our coverage.
Yeah, do we want to save this kind of discussion for maybe the depth chart? Because there were some interesting things on the depth chart. And there's something pertaining to the secondary. So let's shelve that for a minute. Do you want to play the audio now from the more serious matter that we want to?
I'll just wrap it up. He did talk about some injuries. Two guys of note. Trayton Pickering. Trayton Pickering, he said had a great fall. That was another note.
Complete opposite of being injured.
Yeah.
He's really healthy and
Trayton
good.
Pickering, not injured. Sorry. Psych. Paul Brott's out for 2 to 3 weeks, and Tyson Pottinger's out from 1 to 2 weeks.
Oh, I did not catch the Brott news. That's a bummer.
Yeah. I know. Looking for him to have a big year on the defensive line, so it kind of sucks. But Now we can queue up the audio.
Okay.
Why don't you introduce that?
Yeah, so this is the audio. This is the first time that Brent Vegan has addressed the situations with Taylor Housewright and Sam Mix with the incident from May, right? It's back from May. So he said he was going to make a statement at the end of camp, at the beginning of camp, and this is the statement he made. So we're going to go ahead and play this, and then maybe give a little bit of commentary on it, and then we'll move on from that. So here we go. This is from Grace Lawrence at KBZK. Oh gosh, what is it? I told her I would credit her properly. Montana Sports. There we go. So let me cue that up here, and we will play that for you right now.
Two of our coaches, the incident involved two of our coaches back from early May. I want you to know we continue to deal with the coaches internally regarding the repercussions for their actions. Okay. I do want to make it clear in supporting these men, we are not dismissing the charges. We are simply showing that we believe in them, and want to continue to have them work within this program because of who they are as people. We've taken this matter very seriously, and I say that on many ends. And one is, just the improved, enhanced trainings that we will do and have continued to do within our program.
That was the end of it, the clip there. He said a few things else at the end, didn't he?
He did.
Darn, I didn't realize. I should have checked to see that clip had everything I needed. But what else did he say there at the very end? Okay.
Couldn't tell you.
That's the gist of it. I think it's important. It's enough to kind of say what we think about it. I'm glad he came out and made a statement. I think it needed to happen. We haven't really talked a whole lot about it on this podcast. We talked a little bit on the last episode. My only question at this point really is what happens if either one of those guys get like a conviction or whatever down the road in the middle of the season, because I think all the court stuff is still pending. So I just don't like this hanging over the head of the program right now. But is there anything else you want to say on this? Like, I don't know. This is kind of a touchy subject for us a little bit.
Well, it just kind of feels like it's coming off the wake of Coulter's podcast on the DUI stuff, and all that stuff was bubbling. And then during that, I was actually going over to eGriz because I was over there the other day. They have 48 pages dedicated to this, and not surprising. I just kind of poking the bear a little bit over there. Yeah. Thorny, does it make you happy that he came out with a statement and just acknowledged it? Is that sufficient for you?
It's the baseline sufficient, I guess. Like, I want more. I would like a bit more transparency on exactly what is happening with those guys. I'm glad he came out and addressed it. I'm glad he said they're taking it seriously. Basically, it's the old, we're handling it internally. And do you trust Vegan to do that or not? I think at this point I do, but I think he's a man of character. I think he is taking the appropriate actions that would be what he believes be most helpful to them. I guess that's all I really got to say on that.
Unfortunately, it's an ongoing story. It is a narrative that will affect the Bobcats.
It did not do enough to probably silence the story.
Yeah.
So
the outcome of this, it will be something that has repercussions. If those guys get fired, this is total speculation. So we'll try to stay away from that. But that would be something that could really affect the program. Could derail some momentum. I don't know. We'll see when it happens.
Yep.
But we'll cross that bridge when it comes.
Yeah, but just the things hanging over the head, just not a fun way to go into the season. That's all there really is on that. And I think at this point, we probably won't talk about it unless something new comes up. That's kind of how we feel about it. And it's going to be there. And until any action is taken or any news comes out, there's really no point in talking about it further beyond right now. Yeah, no, I said that. And there's a weird inflection at the end there. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyways, appreciate Grace Lawrence for being gracious enough to let us use that audio. And let's move on to the next part of the show.
Which is what we want to talk about now.
I don't know. Do you want to talk about the depth chart a little bit? Or do you want to just get into that at the end when we're talking about Utah Tech a little bit, like who's starting the game and whatnot?
let's do this. Let's introduce the Utah Tech interview with Devin and let him just go off, because he does. He just paints a picture of Utah Tech football. We asked a couple questions early on, and then, man, he just provided a font of information for us. It's great. So
absolutely. All right. Well, let's play that audio of Devin Davis. Oh, gosh, Devin Davis. That is a Bobcat player. Devin Dixon. My apologies, Devin. My apologies, Devin. All right, here we go. All right, Bobcat fans. Well, now we welcome in Devin Dixon, who is with the Fan Sports Network, host of the Morning Drive, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. over there in St. George, the flagship station for the Utah Tech Trailblazers. Wow. And he is here to tell us a little bit about Utah Tech. Devin, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me. First time I've ever been on a show with Ryan and Ryan. I'll try to keep you two straight.
Well, I go by Thorny. He goes by Foley. We probably should have told you that before we hit record. But to kind of differentiate the two of us, because, it's a little confusing for people.
Well, a lot to be excited about. Bobcat's looking pretty good, man. This is a huge test for the Trailblazers, so let's get into it.
Yeah, the Utah Tech kind of makes the rounds a little bit in the Big Sky, don't they?
Yeah, they have. I mean, they've been kind of put in a situation where when they went from a junior college back in 2006 to Division II, and then when they decided to go to Division I and FCS, and they were an independent for a minute, and they had to schedule anybody anywhere they could, and you're still seeing remnants of that schedule, even though they're still in their final year of that provisional status. And after the next year in 2024, they'll be postseason eligible. But some of those, the money game against Colorado State, that's been on the schedule for 5 years or so now. So but yeah, I mean, Montana State and then Montana at home, it doesn't get much tougher than that when you're looking at FCS opponents. And then the rest of their schedule is going to be pretty tough too with this new conference. So no cupcake, but man, I think they played 7 ranked teams last year. Obviously, 4-win season for them. So a lot of people around here felt like they made some big improvements, and people are hoping for more improvements this year. But lost some key guys. The portal giveth, the portal taketh away, as you guys probably know. And that no team in the country is not losing guys anymore. I mean, you're getting some. You hope you get more than you lose. But they lost some really good players last year. So they've got another wave of guys coming in. They recruit really well. So it'll be pretty interesting to see how they stack up against the number 3 team in the country.
It's exciting for you guys to come up to Bozeman. And I was just looking at your schedule. You guys actually get to host our rivals, Montana, the next week thereafter, which is impressive. Yeah. That must be a home and a home.
You guys can go ahead and win that game.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. Look,
right.
I've been up to Washington Grizzly Stadium. It'll be nice to get them down here for sure. I think it was 3-0 at halftime last year. Montana was up, and then they pulled away, but that was a tough game, if I remember correctly. So we'll see if we can help the Bobcat fans out. But I think Coach Peterson's got to take it one game at a time. I mean, you guys are obviously the high-ranked team. Had such a great year last year. So not looking past the Bobcats for week 2 just yet.
How is Coach Peterson standing over there at Utah Tech? I was doing a little research on him. It looks like he was a quarterback over at Boston College. I mean, that doesn't really matter now, but do Utah Tech fans, do they appreciate him, the way the program is going?
It's kind of been an interesting. I mean, I was here in St. George in the early days when legendary coach Greg Croshaw was, the winningest coach in, JUCO history at one point, and then they went to, Scott Brumfield and Ron Hahn, and then Coach Shea McClure was the head coach during the first part of the transition from D2 to D1. He's now the linebacker coach at SUU, our rivals up in Cedar City, Utah, Southern Utah University. Coach Pete, he's been here for a while now. He came in from Snow College. President really wanted him, liked him. As a former quarterback, it's interesting though, guys. And I've asked Coach Pete about this. In fact, I had him on my show 10 days ago or so, last time we had a chat live on air. I was chatting with him last Friday at a little fundraiser, but it was this question. I said, Coach, you're a former Division I quarterback. You had Matt Ryan breathing down your neck. I mean, you could play two quarterbacks, this week and all season. As a quarterback, a former player, wouldn't that drive you nuts? And he's like, no, I was actually in the two quarterback system, and I was kind of the spark plug. If we weren't doing good, I'd come in the second quarter and try to, find a spark. So he actually went through that a little bit as a player. And so, us on the outside, we kind of think, well, if you don't have one good quarterback, you don't have any. You're going with two guys. But he believes they're so close, and I'm talking about number 16, Kobe Tracy, and then number 7, Boone Abbott, for fans looking for those guys on the field on Saturday. And I expect them both to play, and I expect him to go with the hot hand. I expect him to, make a decision. He'll start one. We still don't know. I mean, as close as we are to the program flagship, we still don't know which one will be the starter. Two Deep's supposed to come out sometime tomorrow. Maybe that'll give us a little bit of help, but I expect them both to play, and then he'll ride the hot hand. I expect, one to get a quarter, maybe to get 2 or 3 series, and then the next one to get 2 or 3 series. So we'll see how that plays out. Makes it a little bit tougher for the Bobcats to prepare because they don't know which quarterback they're going to get. And the guy that got most of the snaps last year, Vic Gabalis, actually transferred out. So, but both Boone and Kobe played quite a bit last year. Kobe was kind of the guy, and Boone was kind of the gadget third down guy, and then got some reps late in the season. Kobe was kind of the number 2 last year. But my sources in camp tell me that Boone is right there and could be the number 1 and could start this game. So we'll have to wait and see till, the 2 deep, or maybe even till Saturday and, 20 minutes before kickoff.
Well, don't be surprised if you see 3 quarterbacks on the field at the same time for the Bobcats against Utah Tech. We've been waiting for it. You'll see 2. You'll absolutely see 2 at the same time. But we're waiting to see 3. It could possibly happen.
Well, and the Trailblazers defense, they're looking for some big strides this year. That defense, they got the new United Athletic Conference Defensive Player of the Year, Cyrus Webster, Utah kid, prepped up in the Salt Lake area. Kind of came into his own last year. A lot of TFL, sacks, has a nose for the football. And then Will Leota, another Utah kid that they didn't let get out of the state. Those are the heart and soul of this defense. But I know those guys that defense is going to have their hands full with the Bobcats offense. No doubt about it.
Well, speaking of kind of the preseason stuff here, I do have a couple questions here, kind of a 2-part question. Number 1, I see that Utah Tech was picked to finish 7th in the inaugural preseason UAC poll, the United Athletic Conference. Second part of that question is, what the heck is the UAC conference? And was the intention to go FBS the entire conference?
Yeah. I mean, I'll start with your second question first, if that's okay.
Sure.
You guys get it. You've seen it. We've seen the Pac-12, what they've been through in the last month. I mean, when they lost Sam Houston State out of the WAC and New Mexico State to Conference USA, they had to be proactive. I mean, the WAC was trying to bring football back. You remember the old days when you had, BYU in the WAC and Hawaii in the WAC and all these teams. And then the WAC got raided and got left behind. And so slowly but surely, they've been trying to add as many teams as they can that have football, but that's been very difficult to do. You have Utah Valley doesn't have football. You have Grand Canyon University, Cal Baptist University, all in the WAC, but none of them have football programs. So when you lost 2 of your football programs and another one left and went back to the Southland Conference, they really were shorthanded in today's college football. The ASUN kind of in a similar situation. So they brought in Oliver Luck, Andrew Luck's dad, a pretty well-renowned guy that is, tried to help the XFL, the NFL, college football conferences. I mean, he's pretty pristine in his reputation, and he came in and said, let's merge and let's rebrand it. There's, coaches love, the merger, I think, because you're going to get to play some new opponents, and in the long run that, you strengthen that conference, you get that automatic bid. I've heard some people that don't love the logo or the name of the conference, but they had to move pretty quickly with it all. So, for us, since we're so new to the WAC and we're so new to FCS football in general, still in that probationary period, I think there's, mixed feelings, but more excitement than not here in St. George, Utah. So, obviously, having SUU join the WAC was a big thing. People in Cedar City didn't love that move, from what I understand, just because they'd worked so hard and it took so long to get in the Big Sky Conference. Big Sky football's good football. You guys know that firsthand. So, but they made that move for whatever reasons, and so now we have rivals in the conference. It's a good basketball conference. It wants to become a good football conference. They just didn't have the manpower to do it, and thus the merger. So, I've spun it as a positive. I'm excited to see Austin pays, and South Alabama looks a little bit down, but Eastern Kentucky looks like the real deal, guys. There's some good teams in this conference. So we'll see. We'll see. And yes, picked 7th, tied with SUU, 25 points. But I guess they got one first place vote. So that was the tiebreaker. One of the coaches in the conference voted for the Trailblazers.
Who do you think it was?
Not sure who that was. We were guessing that on my show, when the polls came out a couple weeks ago. And, sometimes you wonder if the head coach just turns it over to an assistant, says, fill this thing out for me, I'm busy. Or, who knows,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Who knows? Maybe they voted for themselves. I doubt that Coach Pete would do that, but you never know. You never know. He's confident in his guys, and they're trying to build something special here. And they, when Coach Pete came in, they gave him a long-term contract. I mean, I remember when Coach Croshaw was here in the junior college days. I mean, it was, 1-year contract after 1-year contract for 23 straight years. And Coach Pete came in and they gave him that long-term deal, and they knew it would take some time. And, I don't think even Coach Pete could have imagined how hard it would be with COVID. And, you guys know it's so hard to keep recruits. You find some diamonds in the rough, maybe a 3-star kid to come to a Utah Tech, or maybe even a 4-star kid on occasion that's just a little undersized, like a Tyrell Grayson was last year, just a little missile at safety, and has a really productive year. And boom, he goes off to Colorado State, and boom, you get a 1,000-yard rusher in Quali Conley. And I don't know if you guys watched him run the ball against USC last Saturday in week 0, but over 100 yards on minimal carries. They averaged like 16, 17 yards a carry for the Spartans, and they covered the spread against the number 6 team in the country. Joey Hobart gone. I don't want to spend a lot of time on the players that are gone, but son of former Raider quarterback Billy Joe Hobart that played at UW years ago, was, I think, co-national champs back in 1991, if I'm not mistaken. So really good genes, and gone. Texas State with our offensive coordinator. So lost our D-line coach, lost the OC. They lost our secondary coach, like new coaches everywhere and new players everywhere. But you still do have some guys coming back that have a lot of talent. Ricky Johnson's worked really hard. He'll wear number 1 wide receiver. He was kind of the number 2 option behind Hobart last year. He's going to be a guy to watch. There's a transfer from Liberty they're expecting big things about. So you lose some guys, but hopefully you get some guys that can step in and be productive. Javian Lofton, he'll wear number 0. He's a senior transfer from Liberty out of Rancho Cucamonga, California. But they got some young guys too. I mean, their secondary, Scooter Jackson, also wears number 1 on defense. He's a freshman from Warren High School down in Compton, and they're expecting him to start as a freshman up there on the road in Bozeman on Saturday. They do have some depth at the back. Losing Quali Conley, brought in Chris Street, junior running back. They've brought in a guy from back in, was he West Virginia? I'm trying to think of what school he went to.
I think it was just Virginia. If you're talking about the guy that
just
was
Virginia.
At, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, for Virginia.
Ronnie Walker Jr.
That's the guy. They're hoping for some carries out of him. They also got a true freshman that got in the spring, and his name's Nigel Osborne. They expect him to maybe get some totes. So I would expect, they'll spread the ball around. They call it, kind of a wide open offense. It's kind of a variation of the run and shoot. But they'll probably be 3 or 4 different running backs get the ball. You'll see, the quarterbacks, no matter if it's Kobe Tracy or Boone Abbott, try to spread it around, make quick decisions, get the ball out quick. Very dependent on the quarterback making good reads in this spread and shred offense, as they call it down here.
Spread and shred. Nice. I like that. Never heard that one.
Yeah, it's what they started calling it, a couple of years ago. I mean, Billy Ray Stutzman is the passing game coordinator, and his brother, Craig Stutzman, was the OC last year. He was part of that staff up at Wazoo that left Wazoo because of the COVID, and was looking for a place to landed here. His brother landed here. And then Texas State hired him away in the offseason to be their offensive coordinator, but his brother, got bumped up from wide receiver to the passing game coordinator. So they're running a real similar offense to what they were running last year when they, scored some points against BYU, scored 28 towards the end of the season, won 3 of their last 4 games, only losing up there at LaBelle Edwards Stadium. So, some big tight ends. Eric Olson's a big target. Wears number 80, local kid. They've got some reliable guys that have been in the program for a long time, like Michael Moten, Keith Davis. Keith Davis is coming off an ACL of some other receivers to watch for, and they're going to need to have some big plays if they're going to hang with the Bobcats up there this weekend.
One of the concerns for the Bobcats last year was the defense, so I'm pretty interested to see how this offense for Utah Tech comes out and kind of attacks the Bobcat defense, if they can get something going in the run game, and if they do like a little bit of a, passing underneath and kind of stuff like that. The Cats have had a little bit of trouble tackling in space, so it'll be an interesting matchup. I think it'll be a good first test for the Bobcats to see kind of where they are after the offseason they've had.
Yeah, you'll see some quick hitters, you'll see some bubbles, you'll see some stuff in the flats, but you'll also have layered routes, so they'll look to take shots. I mean, they were not scared to take shots, try to go deep down the middle. They use their slots a lot, so yeah, I mean it'll be fun, and how the week 1 game goes, right, guys? I mean,
yeah,
got to limit the mistakes, got to limit the interceptions and the fumble. You can't win on the road if you turn the ball over 3 or 4 times against the number 3 team in the country. That's such a great run last year. So, yeah, I mean, tall order, tall test, but they feel like they had a really good spring camp. Morale is high. Expectations are there about similar to what they would be last year, where they're picked in the conference, but they want to over exceed those expectations. And, the first 2 weeks of the season are tough, man. I mean, if Utah Tech can get to October 2-2, I think Coach Peterson would take that. Just the way the schedule lays out with some tough games early on. They only have 4 home games. So, they're going to have to be road warriors, so to speak, with 7 road games this year.
Sure. Well, Devin, really appreciate you coming on. We got you about for 15 minutes. I think you did a great job of kind of outlining Utah Tech and checking off a lot of the questions we had for us. We appreciate that. But I do have one last question here that I found something kind of interesting today when I was researching Utah Tech. Can you tell us a little bit about the number 3 that Cyrus Webster has been awarded? I thought that was kind of interesting little story, kind of a cool story. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's something Coach Peterson started to honor Abraham Reinhardt. And, look, I mean, we know that you can die, driving your kids to school or in a plane crash or, whatever. Like, life is life, right? And so, unfortunately, Abraham died, when he was playing football here at the university. And they've tried to keep his legacy and honor going, and they award that to somebody that most resembles his heart, his worth ethic, and all those good things, to leave behind. And so Milwaukee wore it last year, and Cyrus Webster will wear it this year. So it is. I know other schools have players that wear a certain number. I know your rivals Montana have that going on up there, but this is kind of a newer one, just to tribute to Abraham Reinhardt. I think the first year his family was all out here and they helped award it to the player. And I'm not sure if they did some kind of a behind the scenes special presentation or what, but yeah, that one's kind of a cool one to keep Abe's name going and everything. So, and with that comes leadership, and with that comes some responsibility, and with that comes, the great honor of wearing that of a fallen brother. So kind of a cool backstory there, but certainly one that I don't think Cyrus Webster or anybody in the future or in the past that's wore that 3 will take lightly.
Right on, Devin. Well, and we really appreciate your time. We look forward to having all the Utah Tech fans come up to Bozeman. I don't know if you've ever heard about Gold Rush. It is an electric atmosphere for Montana State. It's probably one of our highlight games outside of the Cat Grizz. And so it's a real treat to watch that game, and to be part of the crowd is something to behold. So really stoked for you guys to come up. Thanks for your time. And one thing we want to give you an opportunity to do is just plug yourself. Where could our listeners find your work?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys ever come back down for a football game, we're just the Fan Sports Network here in St. George, flagship for Utah Tech, like you said at the start. Twitter's at Dev Dixon, at DEVDIXON. So you'll see me tweeting a lot about Utah Tech throughout the season. You'll see me tweeting a bunch of our high school coverage. We get out and do a lot of high school games here on the Fan Sports Network. We're an affiliate of the Broncos out here in the southwest corner of Utah, and then of course the Trailblazers, and then a lot of our high school coverage. So fun to be on with you guys. Thanks for the time, and look forward to getting this season going and getting the party started. Should be a fun one on Saturday.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Appreciate your time. Thanks.
All right, see you guys.
All right, well, thanks again to Devin for coming on the show. He really was a wealth of information, and we really appreciate him taking some time. It's always hard. We always do this podcast at like 9 p.m., sometimes later, Pacific time. So when people come on the show, we really appreciate them kind of taking some time out of their late night to come on. And he did a great job. And I hope everyone enjoyed that content because, he did a better job talking about Utah Tech than we ever would.
It's an excellent interview. Got a great voice for radio. Love hearing that. I love like the preseason games, not preseason games, the non-conference games. We always get to talk to these guys.
Yeah.
It's always so much fun.
I'm glad I could find someone. It was coming down to the wire there. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to find somebody to talk Utah Tech, but I'm glad I got connected to Devin, and it worked out perfectly.
All right. So let's just opine on Utah Tech for just a little bit. What are your expectations for them coming in?
So Utah Tech, they finished 4-7 last year. They kind of came on strong. You heard Brent Vigen talk a little bit about how he thought the team ended the season, but then you heard Devin talk about all the guys that they lost. They lost their quarterback, their QB1, their wide receiver 1, and their RB1 all to the portal, right? That's kind of a big deal to me. They brought in some transfers to kind of replace all that, but I don't know. They're picked 7th. They're replacing some big time stuff. They're not a traditional powerhouse program. You're not expecting them to be at a point where they can just like reload from a talented team, even if 4-7 not super talented necessarily, but whatever they had going, it's a hard time to reload it. So I expect Montana State should be able to handle Utah Tech relatively easy. These games are always kind of, it's the first game of the season. That's when upsets happen, right? When you're the FCS program and you're playing the FBS program, you want to catch them in the beginning of the season because they're still kind of shaking off the rust, or maybe they're not quite, to where they should be. And Montana State is a program that gets better as the season goes on. Brent Vigen has proven that they're going to play their best football later in the year. So, I mean, first game, jitters, gold rush, a new program, and Devin said, you don't know who's starting at quarterback yet. That kind of could make a little bit of a difference. So there's some opportunity for Utah Tech, but I just don't expect that they're going to have the horses to keep up with Montana State.
We beat McNeese State 40-17. Do you expect something similar?
Yes, but it'll be we'll score 10 points or 14 points in the fourth quarter, and it's going to be I remember playing McNeese State. It just didn't feel real good until later, and that's probably how it's going to feel.
He called it the spread and shred offense, which I thought was pretty crafty. I hadn't heard of that.
I like that.
And he's like, "Oh, we're going to pass it up the seams." And I was like, I started cringing. I was like, oh no, stretching the field up the middle. That hasn't been a strong suit for us. That's the thing I'm looking for, right? Our defense. How are we going to respond to the pass game this year? That's a big question in my mind. Coach Vigen said it's looked better. To be determined, right?
Yeah, it's easy to feel like that the running defense was part of the problem last year, the big part, but passing defense was bad too. You go back, I recently rewatched some of the highlights from the Cal Poly game, and they were throwing the ball around on us. Their drives all never went anywhere, but teams have been throwing the ball on us, especially those short patterns where we play a little bit soft coverage. So if they're dinking and dunking and making some guys miss, they can move the ball.
Tom Stuber said on Bobcat Nation that Montana State gave up 70 plays of 20 plus yards last season. That is terrible. That's true. That is terrible.
That seems almost impossible stat. Are you misquoting that? But I did see him quote something like that. So it's Yeah, I mean, they're big plays.
I'll ask him
big
next
problem.
week when you're gone.
Yeah, ask him. Make sure he's got that.
He's going to be our guest podcaster, so I'll ask him.
You should.
But regardless, it's some sort of stat about big play against Montana State, and that is true. That was their crux last year.
Yep, and they weren't always necessarily like plays that were designed to be big. Like they were just handoffs that went up the gut, and then they just like ran free all of a sudden. It's like, there's just Montana State did it to themselves a little bit last year. But I do have some high expectations in the secondary. Like I have some high hopes. I think we're going to be better. I think we are in the secondary, talent-wise. We talked a little bit about on the defense episode. Was it talent or was it coaching? Hard to know. But looking at the two deep, which was released today, interesting to see. Number one, Miles Jackson won the starting job opposite of Simeon Woodard. What do you think about that?
I was having a tough time. I was going with John Johnson, was my gut feeling. But Miles Jackson, they're going to play 5 guys over there.
Yeah.
So they're going to play Simeon, Miles, John Johnson, Powdrell, and Devin Davis.
Yeah, that's a solid group, and that's a pretty good-sized group. All right, so Miles Jackson's 5'11", and Simeon Woodard's 5'10", but Devin Davis is like, 6'1", John Johnson's 6 foot, and I'm missing somebody, and Powdrell is only 5'10", but overall, like for Big Sky cornerbacks, they're a pretty good-sized group.
Let me pull up the two deep.
I hope they give some problems just based on some length alone, and then Lavelle Price Jr. and Caden Dowler are listed as a slash on the depth chart, and Vegan did talk about how they'll be basically 50-50. I think it's going to be basically situational. I think we talked about that. I think it's kind of what you expect to see there. But yeah, Lavelle Price Jr. and Caden Dowler, I think will be 2 guys who can really kind of step in and fill that Ty Okada void.
Coach talked highly about Lavelle Price, how he's just proud of him for sticking it out. And I think that's a nod to Lavelle right there.
It's crazy he's a senior already. I remember him as like a promising freshman, and then he was like a promising freshman, and then he's a promising freshman, and then he was a senior. Like, what? Mm-hmm. Just skipped forward with Lavelle Price. I hope he gets to play, and I hope he plays well, because you gotta like the guys who stick around in the program in this climate, in this college climate. He could have transferred out at any point. We stuck it out. And I hope he's rewarded for it. I hope he has a good senior season.
A couple other surprises on the depth chart. Not a surprise to me because we had been hearing about this, but left tackle is Connor Moore and Rush Reimer is at left guard.
Well, the coaches just love Connor Moore, man. I think it was basically if Connor Moore is who they think he is, put him at left tackle, and it allows other guys to move throughout the line. So I think they're pretty happy with how he developed, and that's going to be big dividends for the Bobcat line because I think if he's the best left tackle, then watch out for the rest of that line. Jeez.
Yeah. Another guy that came off the depth chart that gave me a little surprise is Jacob Trimble at the H receiver, backing up Junior Alexander.
That's right.
Jacob's a true freshman, 6 foot, 184 out of somewhere in Texas.
He's like Fort Worth, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty surprising too. Like, I mean, I don't know exactly who else would be in that spot. Thinking about it right now, I mean, you could put like Aiden Garrigan in there or something if we want to go bigger. Like Lanyana Alexander's a bigger kid, but yeah, pretty surprised to see Jacob Trimble, a true freshman, cracking the 2 deep for game 1. He must have been really impressive in the camp.
Running back, we got Lane Sumner starting over Julius Davis. Sounds like there'll be a trio Bobcats behind them with Scott Tree Humphrey. He was the first guy out of Vegan's mouth, and then Elijah Elliott and Jared White. I'm excited to see all those guys, really, see Jared come back from his injury last year. I want to see how he looks.
Is this going to be another season of where we just wonder why isn't Elijah Elliott playing? that was like the entire season last year. Like,
yeah,
every time he got the ball, he looks good. It's like the coaches see something different than you and I see in this scenario because Elliott kills it every time he gets the ball. So like, what's the problem? He's the most consistent. He's the most healthy. He's the most durable. Does he have like an attitude problem? Is he not good at pass protection? Is there something that we don't have quite that football IQ? Like, what is he doing that's just not good? I don't know. It just seems like he should be getting lots of carries. I understand they love Lane Sumner, and I love Lane Sumner too, and I'm okay with that. and Julius Davis probably earned his spot too. But it's just crazy to see Elliott being like the third or fourth option. Are we just that good, or is he just like doomed to be in the doghouse of sorts? I don't know.
I don't know if he's in the doghouse. I thought his maturity came around last year. I just think, I don't know, maybe Sumner and Davis are just better. I mean, it just when it comes flat down to it, they might just be better. So,
well, we know
we'll see.
Elliott's a good running back. So if they're better, the Bobcats have the best running back room in the country. That's for sure.
No doubt. Let's see. Let's go down to some specialists. This is interesting to me. So our new punter / kicker, Brendan Hall, took punts and kickoff and placement. So he beat out Casey Kotzman for place kicking duties. We knew he was going to be the punter and the kickoff specialist. That comes on the heels of Vegan saying Casey has taken his game up and above from where he was at last year. This can only be good for Montana State. I haven't seen Brendan kick, so I'm excited to see that on Saturday.
I'm excited. Why am I excited to watch a punter? What has happened? And he's like, I don't know.
We probably won't see him. Hopefully, we won't see him as punting on Saturday.
Yeah, there was the. I made the jokes on Twitter last year. Like Bryce Layton went 3 games without punting the ball once, 2 or 3 games or 2.5 games. Didn't even punt at all because we just didn't punt.
Although it'd be very Montana-esque if we would go 3 and out first series.
Well, yeah, might as well give the crowd what they want. See the punter, right? That's what everyone's here to see. That's what Gold Rush is about. Let's check out the new punter. Let's see if it really does take longer to drop the ball.
I think it was like when you and I went to Gold Rush a couple years ago. The first couple series, it was like 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. We're like, this is terrible. And then it was just like we woke up and started pounding. All right. Any other guys on the 2 deep you want to mention?
No. I mean, we covered this pretty well in the preseason episodes that we did. We just didn't cover some of the guys here that are on the 2 deep. So that was just kind of the interesting things to talk about there. But other than that, I think we pretty much covered all of it.
All right. Well, I think we can go on to Golden Coolie questions.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say about Utah Tech, I guess, before we wrap that conversation up?
I expect it to be a fun night. I love Gold Rush. It is probably my favorite game outside of Cat Grizz. It's just so much fun to watch. Yeah. It's even better to be there. It is a showcase night for Montana State. It's a showcase night for the state of Montana. If you can be around that atmosphere, it's just something else. And everybody knows it. It just keeps getting better every year. Can't wait, man.
Does that kick off at 6 p.m. Montana?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be like 3 or 4, 2 in the morning or something for me over there. And I'll be in Saturday. Or Sunday. That'll be Sunday. Yeah, I'll be in Munich. So maybe if I happen to roll awake before everyone's up, I'll peep the game a little bit.
How could you not? You're not going to go to bed. You're going to be thinking about the Cats too much. You're going to be like, man, I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah,
it's going to be bugging you. It's going to be restless sleep. You'll get up. You'll watch it.
I'll be jet lagged as hell though, so it'll be weird. Who knows what my body will be thinking at that point?
All right. Okay. Let's take a look at some Golden Coolie questions.
All right.
And this is my fault because I put them up late. So let's see what we have. Bleeding Blue. Man, that guy is solid. Always coming through. One answer for each side of the ball. What's most important for you to see Saturday night?
Okay. Offense. A prolific running game. I know that's probably going to be the answer. Not people are going to say. I just want to make sure the magic is still there. I want to make sure we can still run the ball like we think we can run the ball. There's no reason to think that we can't, but for some reason that's just I want to make sure. I want to make sure the car still turns on. It's been in the garage. Make sure it fires up.
That's good. Great analogy. I'm going with the passing game. I want to see more dynamic passing game, different routes, different route trees. Responsibilities in the passing game, better vision from our quarterbacks. more patience, better run blocking. That'd be my offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I think that's probably going to be the biggest answer people have, but I just don't think it's most important to me. Now, I want to see the development of the passing game, but game one, I don't know. If we'd come out and we throw the ball for 75 yards and we go like 4 for 11, I'm not going to freak out.
Over under 15 passing attempts.
Attempts? Ooh, that's a good over and under. Under. Probably under. Well, no. I'm going to say over.
If Jeff Choate was our coach, over under 10 passing attempts.
Under.
We just run the ball the whole time.
Yes, we would. 40 straight times, get out of there, time for dinner.
It is the strength of our offense, and it will continue to be the strength of our offense. Running the ball. Montana State, synonymous. Defense, what do you want to see?
The ability to set the edge.
Yeah, good one. I want to see better man-to-man coverage. It doesn't sound like Montana State's going to play a lot of zone. Maybe I'm wrong. But every time I listen to anybody talk about our coverage, who is a coach, it's talking about man coverage. And so we're going to play one-on-one, cover zero. Sounds like a lot. I'll look to see what kind of zone concepts we're playing. But, you know, the stuff over the middle, the seams that really got us last year, I want to see that short up a little bit as well. I just want to see some interceptions. I don't know, maybe just tighter all around.
That seems like more than one answer.
I'm floundering and giving a bad answer. I just want it to look better. I want it to feel more ferocious. I want the pass rush to get home and feel. I want that guy to be nervous back there.
I like it. I like that. I forget what somebody asked us how many sacks we think we'll get. Was it over 30 or was it 40? I can't remember. But if you want to hit that number, you got to get like 3 on Saturday, 3 or 4. Start it off hot.
Let's do it.
Hey, do you have a bold prediction?
Woo.
Got to bring that back. Make sure we're doing that.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that one in a while.
No.
Yep. Don't put that one on the docket. Bold prediction. Our first score will be a pass play that goes over 50 yards.
That's a good one. Now,
I'm going to write that down.
Now,
Tom Stuber, if you're listening, you got to write down a bold prediction too, because I'm going to ask you about that.
That could be a screen pass that the guy takes 50 yards, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Doesn't have to be 50 yards in the air or anywhere near that.
No, it's the first. It's the first score, and I'm giving the qualifier has to be over 50 yards.
Okay. My bold prediction is a quarterback catches a pass. Yeah.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, they're not going to pull that one out first game. They'll keep that one in the bag.
No. What they do is they pull it out in the first game and then never do it again. But then they do it like, in the quarterfinals or something.
Yeah.
So it's on film and everyone's like, are they going to do it? And then no, we just did that once. But then it comes back later.
All right. Okay, so you said quarterback catches pass.
Yeah. Right. JT Reed catches a pass from Derek Snell. Or I say JT Reed. I get confused on the reads. I haven't seen enough of the quarterback. What is it?
JR Reed.
It's not JT. He's the right guard. It'd be impressive if he caught a pass, and also highly illegal.
Yeah, you have to report as eligible. I'm eligible. People like
it'd have to be a tackle, and then you'd have to be eligible at tackle.
Check. Oh man,
we've had some crazier things happen. Who was that huge Jason Skrimpos? He caught a touchdown pass.
Yeah, he did.
From Troy Anderson, right? The huge D-line transfer from UW. It was like 300
That was a
pounds.
Tim Tebow play.
It was, or it was Afonso who threw it. It was one of the two. It was either Troy or Afonso. But it was,
you're right. It could have been Afonso.
But it was a big floater, ugly pass. It was like way higher than it needed to be. I remember it. Okay, well that was fun, man. It's a Gold Rush. I'm super excited to actually get talking some football. I'm really bummed I can't watch the game. It's gonna kill me. You're right. I probably will have some sort of like body alarm where I just like wake up. Like, why am I awake? I'm like, oh yeah, and I'll like turn my phone on. It's gonna kill me.
Better, man. I mean, you're gonna have to come back. We're gonna have to talk about this stuff. I know you're gonna watch it on the replay, but I'm gonna want to know. I want a good story about you hiding from Val in some weird, like, spot in Ireland where you're trying not to wake her. And you're huddled with your phone.
Yes.
I need that story.
Yeah,
Can we text
for the next game, which is a daytime game? Maybe I'll be like, "Oh yeah, honey, I'm gonna go check out this castle. I'm gonna look over there, just like go hide behind the old castle ruins and watch football." I don't know.
Can we text?
Probably not. I was not anticipating on paying for the international option. My wife has better cell coverage, so we're gonna go through that. So when I'm in Wi-Fi range, we can. Other than that, I'll probably be silent. I'm gonna mute you just so you don't spoil anything for me.
Don't ignore me.
No, I might ignore you. It's my 10-year anniversary, man. I'll ignore.
I'm totally gonna ruin this for you.
I will find a way. I will call ahead to the hotel you're at and tell them that there's a message waiting for you.
Ryan Thornburg, you have a message. We just scored.
Touchdown, Bobcats. I like it. That'd be a good message.
Right.
That'd be a good message.
That would be a great message.
That would be okay.
Go Cats.
Go Cats. All right.
Oh, man. We were all over tonight.
We are.
Right.
It's about an hour 20 by the time we put that interview back in, and we didn't even have a game to recap, so we better be able to tighten this up because this is an hour and 20 minutes on Utah Tech's probably a little overkill.
Are you sure it's an hour and 20 minutes? I think we haven't stopped recording. I think this has been going since
yeah, you're right. I'm thinking that I have to add time to this. Usually, a lot of times we'll restart the recording time. So no, you're right. It's a little over an hour. That's more. No. That's better. That's better. Thank you for bringing me back down. Okay. Well, I guess let's get out of here, right?
Yeah, man. Let's do it.
We have a Golden Coolie winner because there was one Golden Coolie question, but I'm pretty sure Bleeding Blue has some goodies already. If not, reach out to us, or we'll send you another one. Whatever. If you want, give one away to your friend. Have two, so you can have the Irish handcuffs, or you have a beer in each hand. Do whatever you want to do, man.
What?
You never heard that?
No.
It's funny. I'm going there now. I probably won't say that over there. Thanks again to Wilbur Ellis and Shay Richter for being the sponsor of the Golden Coolie segment. Thanks everyone every time. Thanks everyone for listening to the podcast. You can find us on X. I hate saying find us on X. That sounds so stupid. Thanks, Elon. Find us on Twitter, our Catcast. You can find us on Bobcat Nation. You can email us at our rcatcast.com. Foley, let's just get out of here, man. With the happy Gold Rush. Happy game week. Go Cats.
Go Cats.
Go Cats.